Lin Fan rubbed his temples and walked out of the company building. It was getting late. The subway car was crowded, and he was casually scrolling through his phone to kill time. An advertisement popped up, Ultimate Detective System app, scan the QR code to download, and instantly transform into Sherlock Holmes. He shook his head and smiled, thinking that even detectives are starting to get involved now. Just slide your finger unintentionally and the download is complete. After installation, the screen flashed and a green interface popped up, congratulations on the host binding. The system will provide perfect reasoning to help you solve strange cases. Lin Fan blinked and tried to click scan around, but there was no movement. He muttered to himself, they're just traffic scammers. Just as he was about to uninstall, his phone vibrated, and a news feed broke into his line of sight. A jewelry store in the city center had just been robbed, and a necklace worth millions was missing, but no one was captured on the surveillance camera. The subway arrived at the station. Lin Fan looked up and saw that the jewelry store was across the street. Police lights were flashing and crowds gathered outside the yellow line. His heart moved, and he squeezed past by accident, wanting to try out whether this app would work. The system interface automatically popped up, case scene detected, start inference mode. Lin Fan's heartbeat accelerated slightly, and he approached the edge of the crowd, pretending to be passing by to watch the excitement. At this time, Bai Ning called, Fan, are you off work? I was in front of the jewelry store and happened to pass by. Something was lost here and the police were questioning her. She worked in a nearby office building, and the two made an appointment to have a late-night snack. Lin Fan responded and quickly rushed over. Bai Ning was wearing a beige windbreaker, standing at the door of the store with her arms folded, frowning slightly, and waved to him, you're here. The store owner said that the necklace was locked in the safe last night and disappeared this morning. The door lock is intact and the surveillance is blank. Lin Fan nodded and secretly glanced at his phone. A pop-up window popped up in the system, inference result, ghost is causing trouble. The necklace was sucked away by a ghost in the middle of the night. It is recommended to burn incense to ward off evil spirits. He almost laughed out loud and rubbed his eyes to confirm. What kind of bad AI is this? He complained in a low voice, System, are you Conan or the Ring? A ghost? Something from the last century. The interface asked, are you using inference? Y/N. His mind got hot and he pressed Y, thinking that there might be some metaphysics. Excited, Lin Fan pulled Bai Ning closer to the policeman, officer, I have a clue. The young policeman turned his head and looked him up and down, who are you? Lin Fan cleared his throat, amateur detective. The necklace was stolen by a ghost. The store was haunted at midnight last night. Several onlookers snickered quietly. Bai Ning tugged on his sleeve and whispered, Lin Fan, are you serious? Don't be embarrassed here. The shop owner, a middle-aged man, wiped his sweat and came over with a livid face, brother, this is a huge loss, don't be joking. Lin Fan insisted, I'm serious. The blanks in the surveillance are evidence, ghosts will not get into the camera. The system responded, the accuracy is 100%, and the paper money will be burned quickly. He began to mutter in his heart, if this happened, he would be embarrassed. Bai Ning pulled him aside and said with helplessness in her tone, where do you get the confidence? There were employees working overtime in the store last night, and ghosts sound like novels. Lin Fan smiled awkwardly, I just downloaded an app, it says it is the ultimate system. Maybe it is really effective. She rolled her eyes, but did not walk away, and continued to listen to the police questioning the shop owner. The more Lin Fan thought about it, the more panicked he became. The systematic ghost theory was completely untenable. He scanned the scene, the store door was locked, the safe was in the back room, and there were faint dusty footprints on the ground, leading from the cabinet to the back door. Back door? The shop owner just said no one walked by. Thinking about it, he thought to himself, ghosts don't leave footprints, do they? System, you are cheating me. He quickly deduced in his mind, the footprints were made by someone, and the store owner's shoe size seemed to match. The safe lock had new scratches, not aging. The surveillance blind spot happened to avoid the back door, and he had the opportunity to take action when the employees were working overtime. Lin Fan decided to do the opposite and strode to the shop owner, pointing at the dust at the back door. "Are these footprints yours? Last night you opened the back door yourself, took the necklace and sold it on the black market. The reason for the blank surveillance is because you know the blind spots, and ghosts are just your cover-up." The shop owner's face changed, and he stammered, "Nonsense. Those are the cleaners." But his palms began to sweat, and his eyes wandered. Bai Ning raised her eyebrows with disbelief on her face and pulled Lin Fan, "Where is the evidence? You just said ghosts." Lin Fan explained in a low voice, "The system is all wrong, so I thought the other way around. The size of the footprints matches your shoes, and the scratches on the safe are from new locks. The employees worked overtime last night. You said no one entered the back room, but there was dust and chaos." Bai Ning knelt down and looked at the footprints and scratches, and murmured hesitantly, "The footprints are connected to the cabinet, and the scratches are in the right position. This inference really makes sense." She stood up, looked at Lin Fan, and couldn't help but laugh out loud. "You are so lucky, the ghost's reasoning was so wrong, and the case was solved. The system is a pig teammate, right?" Lin Fan scratched his head, embarrassed. Joy filled his heart, and a pop-up window appeared on his phone. "Congratulations. The wrong reasoning has achieved a miracle, and you will be rewarded with +1 points for complaining. Are you ready for the next case?" He breathed a sigh of relief, and hugged Bai Ning's shoulders. "It's an embarrassing victory, just get used to it. Let's go and have a midnight snack to celebrate." She pushed his hand away and laughed and scolded, "If you don't do this next time, you are too pretentious as a detective. Don't trust the app next time." The police heard this and came over to check the back door. "The footprints are clear." "Shopkeeper, there is dirt on the soles of your shoes. When I compare them, the sizes match. The scratches on the cabinet lock are also new. Did you leave the scene last night?" The shopkeeper hesitated. I'm just checking." The policeman shook his head. "Take another fingerprint test, don't deny it in a hurry." The shop owner's legs softened and he knelt on the ground. "Okay, I owe a loan shark. I was confused and took it to pay off the debt." The policeman handcuffed him and started discussing on the spot. Lin Fan put his arm around Bai Ning's shoulders, turned into the street corner snack stall, and brought steaming hot beef noodles to the table. He picked up a chopstick and said while chewing, "Ning Ning, the footprints in the jewelry store and the pitfalls of the system still gave me inspiration. News of serial thefts are flying all over the sky, the cat in the pet shop is lost, the change box in the convenience store is empty, maybe there is an inside story." Bai Ning lowered his head to mix the noodles and glanced at him. "Office workers play detective, isn't it a little stressful? Last time you talked about ghosts, please don't mess around with me this time." The stall owner heard this and came over to talk. "Brother, are you the ghost detective from the jewelry store? It's a hot search on the internet, so sign up." Lin Fan was stunned, and checked his phone, and saw #detective it turns about self-stealing #it has exceeded 20,000 retweets. He felt hot in his heart and became more confident. "Now that you are famous, I'll prove it again if you go to court." Bai Ning didn't answer, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Halfway through the meal, my phone vibrated with a news notification. The urban coffee shop was stolen, the valuable coffee beans were missing, the doors and windows were intact, and the surveillance camera only recorded the shop cat running around. The system pop-up window followed, detection of serial cases, inference result, alien invasion. UFO sucked the beans from the skylight, it is recommended to observe the night sky. Lin Fan almost choked and rubbed his eyes to confirm. Bai Ning came over to take a look. A ghost upgrades to an alien? I tolerated it last time, but this time I guess, the boss's cat stole food? He wiped his mouth and stood up, pulling her sleeves. 2 blocks away from the coffee shop, new cases are hot, I have to go and support the scene. Let's go. She put down her chopsticks hesitantly and followed, I'm working hard in the middle of the night. I have to go to work tomorrow. You are addicted. Under the street lights in the alley, passers-by recognized him, and someone whispered and snickered, the ghost detective is here again. Another person raised his mobile phone, brother, sign. Lin Fan waved his hands, thinking in his mind, he must find loopholes to deduce aliens. The police lights flashing at the entrance of the coffee shop, the crowd crowded the yellow line, and it was twice as lively as a jewelry store. The shop owner, who was in his early 40s, held the gray and white shop cat in his arms and wiped his sweat on his apron. The beans were locked in the back warehouse, worth tens of thousands, and disappeared after closing tonight. The cat has been in the store, monitoring no outsiders. The police caught a glimpse of Lin Fan and nodded, that boy from jewelry. Any clues? He squeezed in, raised his cell phone in front of everyone, and demonstrated loudly, system analysis, aliens stole it. UFOs sucked the coffee beans, the cat running around is a cover. The crowd was silent for 2 seconds, and some people clapped and booed, evolved. Alien detective. More people snickered and whispered, this guy is famous on the internet, take a photo. The boss's face was livid, and he hugged the cat tightly, young man, Duzzy has lost his business, why are you making this joke? Lin Fan's face was hot, he forced a smile, and the system responded, the accuracy is 100%, prepare sunglasses. Bai Ning dragged him to the shadows of the corner of the store and lowered his voice, showing this in public. It spreads on the internet and you become a laughing stock. Lin Fan lowered his head, his blood ebbing, and his confidence shattered, I want to prove that the system works. The first case was a mistake, so this time, it should work. She sighed and pinched his wrist lightly, useful. Ghost alien, next step dinosaur. Don't rely entirely on it, if it breaks the pot, I won't embarrass you. Her words were soft and thorny, and her position was clear, she supported playing tricks, but refused to be blindly impulsive. Lin Fan took a deep breath, turned around and scanned the scene. First, he looked at the back warehouse door that was ajar, and there were a few coffee beans scattered on the ground, which were connected in a line leading to the store's cat's nest. Then he looked at the cat's nest bag, which was bulging, and smelled faintly of beans. Finally, he checked the warehouse lock, and there were small claw marks, which were still fresh. The jigsaw puzzle was forming in his mind, and he whispered to Bai Ning, the system is on an alien planet, and the cat is the key. The boss keeps it as a mascot, and the lock is loose, and the cat hides and plays with beans in its mouth. A serial case or an animal connection, the cat in the pet store disappeared, and the mouse in the convenience store took action. He strode towards the boss and pointed to the cat's nest, the beans are in there, your cat stole them. The paw prints are connected from the warehouse to the nest, and the blind spot of the surveillance is avoided. The beans are still on the paws. The boss was stunned, opened the bag, coffee beans rolled all over the floor, and the cat jumped out with a meow. His paws were indeed dirty. The policeman came closer to check the lock, the claw marks are correct, and there are no signs of prying. The boss clapped his legs and muttered to himself, I heard the rustling last night and didn't check it. It loves to chew beans. If they are dirty, they can't sell them and suffer a huge loss. The crowd's discussion turned, and someone whispered, this is a miracle. The title of the video was changed to, Cat Steals Coffee Beans, Ghost Detective Hits Again. Lin Fan drank water, self-esteem welled up, and he admitted in a low voice, Ning Ning, I have no real ability, I only support this app. The serial case escalates, what if the secret is revealed? She held his arm tightly, paused for a moment, it's okay to reveal the secret, I am here. You saw the footprints and claws in the first 2 cases at first sight, this is intuition, not luck. System. Just take it off and let's chase it ourselves. Her words were like the night wind, and the embarrassment dissipated. He felt a little relieved and nodded, well, I won't try to rely on it next time. A pop-up window on the phone said, wrong reasoning is more miraculous, +1 for complaining. The serial case is upgraded, chasing the cat soul. He turned off the switch, held Bai Ning's hand and prepared to leave, and the internet hot search #AlienCoffeeBean #there have been a lot of ridiculing messages, and my face is getting hot. Big problem, animals in series. Gotta chase. The two walked away, and the news app pushed an update. The jewelry shop theft case was solved, but there had been 3 similar thefts in the city. The cat was missing from the pet store and the change box at the convenience store was empty. Lin Fan glanced at it, his phone vibrated, and a new pop-up window appeared. The next case, Revenge of the Cat Soul. Run to the pet store. He froze in his steps, thinking how outrageous will this system be next time. She was in her 20s, with a neat police uniform, Su Wan badge on her breastplate, and sharp eyes. Lin Fan. Jewelry and coffee, you can handle both cases. Luck, or real ability? If you have any questions from the police station, come with me. Bai Ning frowned, Lin Fan's heart skipped a beat, and trouble was coming. The lights in the police station interrogation room were dazzling. Su Wan threw 2 stacks of files and knocked on the table. Jewelry theft, coffee cat theft, how do you know the claw marks? Luck or insider? Lin Fan sat up straight, suppressing his excitement, intuition plus evidence. A serial case, right? The pet shop's husky is lost, the convenience store has 0, the cash box is empty, the coffee bean cat is hiding, animals are connected, and the valuables are all related to animals. Su Wan raised her eyebrows and opened the 3rd copy. I just reported that the rabbit was missing from the pet hospital and the cage was locked. There were 3 upgrades. What animal do you think? Rat army. She said with a thorny tone, testing him. A pop-up window popped up in the system, and Lin Fan took a peek. Serial upgrade, reasoning, stolen by time travelers. Rabbits are future pets. They travel back to modern times to steal beans to replenish food in time and space. I suggest you check the clock. His throat tightened, excitement turned to embarrassment, and he said bravely, well, the time traveler did it. Rabbits stole beans for food from the future. Su Wan stared at him, and the corners of her mouth twitched. Boy, are you serious? Last time an alien, this time a time and space thief? The hot search on the internet is ridiculous. I believe you are the only one who is evil. She stood up and shook it off. After leaving the door, Bai Ning shook her head and said to Lin Fan, I told you, don't believe that stuff. Now even I doubt you. Lin Fan caught up with Su Wan, wait, think back. It's not an animal, it's a prank by the cleaners. Night shift cleaning, zoo connection, dogs are hidden on the floors of pet shops, boxes are pried to get change in convenience stores, beans are stuffed in coffee houses, and rabbit cages are stuffed with bait to lure them away. Su Wan stopped and turned around. Where is the evidence? The 3 cleaning companies do not overlap. The relationship became tense, her suspicion deepened, and Lin Fan's self-esteem rose. He gritted his teeth and called Lu Zhe, best friend, there is a system bug. Come to the police station to fix it. In the serial case, I will blame the cleaners. You hacked the company records. Lu Zhe's voice was excited. Ghost alien upgraded time and space. 5 minutes to go. 20 minutes later, Lu Zhe rushed in with a backpack, looking like a technical geek, and picked up Lin Fan's phone while typing. The PP source code is in a mess, and development bugs are everywhere. It is being repaired. Su Wan glanced at him. Who? Hacker. Lu Zhe blinked. Assistant, specializing in outrageous apps. Lin Fan came closer and explained the cleaning speculation in a low voice. There were mop marks at the 3 crime scenes, the tracks of the cleaning trucks overlapped at night, and the wet marks on the change box of the convenience store were like mopping water. Su Wan was dubious and drove the 3 of them straight to the pet hospital. There was no one there at midnight and the rabbit cage was empty. She squatted down and touched the crack in the door. It's so narrow that a rabbit can't squeeze out. Lin Fan pointed to the ground. There were fresh mop marks, leading to the trash can at the back door. Lu Zhe used the app to locate Lao Wang's trajectory. The latest data shows that his car is 500 meters away, and the rabbit thermal sensor image matches the car body. Just as he was talking, the back door creaked, and a middle-aged man pushed the car out. The car body bulged and rabbit ears poked his head out. When Lao Wang saw this, he dropped the dustpan and ran away. Lin Fan dared to jump forward and tripped him. The prank is over. Su Wan immediately called for backup and pressed the intercom. The suspect is here, the back door of hospital number 3, come and block it immediately. She fastened the handcuffs with sharp hands, and Lao Wang gasped and said, selling rabbits, dogs, and cats for money, beans are easy to change. It's a zoo scene, the locks are picked loose and the animals escape, which saves trouble. Lu Zhe scanned the truck bed, confirmed the husky collar and coffee bean residue, and locked the evidence. After the scene relaxed, Lu Zhe patted Lao Wang on the shoulder and laughed, "Uncle, time and space food. Huh, are you the future king of cleaning?" Lao Wang wiped his sweat in embarrassment. "What food, I am just poor." Su Wan relieved her anger and loosened Lin Fan's sleeve. "That's right, clean the 3 cases in series. But you talk about time travel first, and you will fool me for a second." Her eyes softened, and she handed over the coffee. "Luck and brains, let's try it as a partner." Lin Fan wiped his sweat, and the excitement returned. The 3 cases were unlocked, and the relationship changed from doubt to alliance. Bai Ning pushed the door open and came in. She had just followed the police car when she saw the situation and sighed, "It's a mistake, you are the one exploiting the loophole again." She pinched Lin Fan's arm and softened her stance, "But my intuition is good, let's continue." But Lu Zhe shouted, "The system has been repaired halfway, bugs have exploded. New reminder, prehistoric pets were resurrected and stolen, and the cat's soul turned into a saber-toothed tiger." Lin Fan's face stiffened, and the pressure began to appear. Lu Zhe knocked on his cell phone and smiled awkwardly. "I tried full repair, and the source code self-destruct module started. Oops, the permanent collapse mode is locked. The hot search on the internet for #spacetimecleaner hashtag has been blasted, ridiculed and reliked, and the reputation is double-edged." Su Wan patted him on the back. "Rely on intuition, don't use app. I'll place an order for the petting zoo, I'll wait for you." She walked forward and left her business card, and the ambiguous tension was born. Bai Ning pulled Lin Fan out and whispered, "The pressure is coming, Fan, believe in yourself." Outside the alley, Lu Zhe caught up and said, "Brother, I've been fixing the system from the bottom up, but the prehistoric cat. I'll record your crash scene first." Lin Fan pushed him, feeling inferior in the night wind. How could he handle the case? Lin Fan stood in the back alley of the pet hospital, the night wind carrying the smell of rabbit fur dissipating. He squeezed Su Wan's business card and watched her police car's taillights disappear around the corner. Lu Zhe came over and shook his cell phone. "The hot search is definitely the first, #SpaceJanitorCatchingRabbit hashtag. Netizens left a message, is this detective a system bug, or a reverse divine prophecy? She predicted the petting zoo case, will we go straight to it tomorrow?" Bai Ning took Lin Fan's arm and said softly, "Go home first, the system collapsed, can you withstand it intuitively?" Lin Fan nodded, suppressing the inferiority complex in his heart, and the 3 of them squeezed into the taxi. Lu Zhe was scrolling through the comments, occasionally saying out loud, "Rabbit future food?" Laughing, the lucky boy wins. At 2 o'clock in the morning, the phone vibrated, and Lin Fan picked it up in confusion. It was Su Wan. "In the ancient books section of the library, the rare books are missing. In the blind spot of the surveillance, the place is so clean that no one has touched it. Animal connection. This time the bookworm army." Her voice was tired, but with a little smile. Lin Fan suddenly woke up. Case number 4. The curator made a night patrol and took a photo of the discovery scene. The photo came, the bookshelf was empty, the dust was evenly distributed, and there were no footprints. The system app unexpectedly lit up, and a prompt popped up after the screen went black. The prehistoric saber-toothed tiger evolved, and the elves in the book stole the books to replenish their magic power. It is recommended to check the claw marks on the pages. Lin Fan rubbed his eyes and reasoned, the dust was too even, it must have been wiped manually, and the curator was hiding personal items and selling them on the black market. At dawn, Lin Fan quietly slipped out of the house, while Bai Ning was still sleeping. He rushed to the back door of the library. Su Wan leaned against the patrol car and handed over a cup of hot coffee. Morning, partner. Lao Wang has done all the tricks. The 4 cases are related to animals. Your intuition is really accurate. She touched him lightly on the shoulder, and Lin Fan's heart beat faster and took it. The cup concealed her embarrassment. The system said that elves stole books, but I blamed the curator. The dust was wiped, and he is a habitual smuggler of rare books. Su Wan raised her eyebrows and opened the back door. Prove it to me. The two of them tiptoed into the ancient books room, the smell of books mixed with the stuffy heat. She asked in a low voice, there are a lot of donations in this area. The director, Professor Li, is a scholar, so he would steal his own books. Lin Fan pointed to the slot. The wood chips are fresh, not insect-eaten, but chisel marks. She looked closer, and her breath brushed his ear. Lin Fan froze, and the ambiguity in the air quietly heated up. The lights in the library suddenly turned on, and Professor Li opened the door and came in. He was in his early 50s, with evasive eyes behind his glasses and a bulging briefcase in his hand. Su Wan stepped aside and blocked the way. Professor, Night Patrol Rare Book Area. Professor Li was stunned. His bag fell to the ground, ancient books were scattered, and the edges of the pages were stained with coffee bean residue, evidence pointing directly to Lao Wang's car body. His fingers trembled, he tightened the frame of his glasses, and his legs slumped against the wall. Old Wang sold me rabbit fur specimens for research funds, and I wiped the dust to cover up, and collected books and sold them on the black market. He was the mastermind of the crime, and I made a mistake. Su Wan put on the handcuffs and turned to look at Lin Fan. There was warmth in his eyes. Push back and lock, for consecutive breaks. Partner, are you treating me to celebrate? Her fingers touched his sleeve lightly. Lin Fan's face heated up, and he nodded. See you at the coffee shop. The relationship became closer, and when she smiled, her eyes turned into crescents. Just as he was about to leave, his cell phone rang, and Bai Ning called. Fan, the hot search hashtag library elf hashtag exploded. Why didn't you and police Sue call me? Lu Zhe said you walked out. The tone was sour. Lin Fan explained awkwardly, the case is urgent. The curator has solved the case, and 4 cases have been linked to Lao Wang's black market. Bai Ning snorted, intuition is strong, don't rely on the enthusiasm of the policewoman. I saw Su Wan's business card. Su Wan came over to listen, and grabbed the microphone. Miss Bai, she is purely cooperative. He intuitively saved the situation. I will buy coffee. Bai Ning replied from the air, I have made the coffee, he is waiting for you at home in the kitchen. Lin Fan sandwiched it. In the middle, he complained helplessly, you two teamed up to bully me? Lu Zhe is here to finish it, and the professor's evidence is uploaded. Lu Zhe's voice replied instantly, rush. I recommend hashtag LuckyDetective for success hashtag as a hot search, and the saber-toothed tiger prompted me to laugh. The 3 of them went back and forth on the phone. Su Wanshao bent down, and Bai Ning finally softened, okay, let's celebrate together. Fan, believe in yourself. The jealousy disappeared, and warmth filled his heart. Outside the library door, police lights flashed, netizens watched, and someone shouted, Lucky detective, when will the 5th case come? Su Wan handed over a new clue. Lao Wang's confession mentioned Pet Zuo Kura, and the smuggling chain included more than 4 cases. Lin Fan breathed a sigh of relief. His reputation was stable after breaking 4 consecutive games, but he saw the system pop-up window flashing. congratulations on the +1 complaint point, upgrade. The screen suddenly blacked out, the self-destruction module was activated, and there was no hope of restarting. My heart sank. This Yongbun was not just a bug, the pressure came like a tide. Lu Zhe panted and rushed over, grabbed the phone and knocked a few times. The source code is locked, and I can't find anything. Police Su Hua Gang said that in the 5th case of the petting zoo, the director is missing and all the animals are empty. Lin Fan looked at the night sky. The main line was not only theft, but also the black market leader hidden in the big warehouse smuggling. The system has a black screen. How can he survive the 5th case? Su Wan refused to say anything, grabbed Lin Fan's arm and pushed him to the police car. You stole the spotlight in both cases. The police station files have to be verified. Miss Bai, you can do whatever you want. Bai Ning let go of Lin Fan's hand, her eyes flashed with displeasure, and she leaned closer to Su Wan and whispered, he is not a suspect, don't push so hard. I'll drive with him, Fan, don't mess with the system. Lin Fan was put into the back seat, the car lights swept across the crowd, and netizens were still filming. Lin Fan rubbed his temples and stared at Lu Zhe's panting face. Repair the system. The self-destruction module is locked. Do you think I believe it? The surrounding police lights were still sweeping the ground. Su Wan put away Professor Li's handcuffs and pushed him into the police car. She turned to look at Lin Fan, tapping his phone with her fingers. Let's put aside the internal friction first. The director of the petting zoo reported last night that the large warehouse in the luxury area was stolen. All the animals were empty, and even the lackeys of the black market leader were missing. Are you going to take a look? In the car, Lu Zhe excitedly checked his cell phone. #Lucky Detective 4 Strikes #broke 100,000 retweets, and netizens guessed that the 5th case was an alien petting zoo. The system has been upgraded to ensure it will not crash. Su Wan glanced at Lin Fan from the rearview mirror. Upgraded? Last time the elf stole the book, you pushed the curator to lock down the evidence. This time with intuition and system, the leader can't escape. Lin Fan nodded, suppressing his inferiority complex. Hopefully. Lao Wang confessed that there are rare lackeys in the warehouse, and 80% of the principal's disappearance is an insider. Bai Ning sent a message to find the location. I've arrived at the back door of the warehouse. There are fresh pry marks on the door lock. Everyone performed their duties, and the tacit understanding was quietly tightened. Outside the petting zoo mansion, Bai Ning leaned against the wall and handed over hot coffee. The principal's villa is connected to the warehouse. There was a power outage last night. The animal cages were empty. There were strange symbols on the wall, like parallel lines crossing. Lin Fan opened the iron door. It was empty inside. Dog hair and key fragments were scattered on the ground. The system dinged and a pop-up window said, "Thieves from parallel universes have invaded." The symbol is a spacetime gate. It is recommended to check for quantum entanglement paw prints. Lin Fan was stunned and everyone came over. He couldn't help but explode, throwing out his cell phone and smashing it on the ground in front of everyone. Parallel universe. Last time there was a saber-toothed tiger, this time there are quantum paw prints. You developed this crap and tricked me into being a clown on trending searches. Lu Zhe grabbed the phone and poked it a few times. The screen lit up green. Look, my friend's masterpiece. Complaint points are redeemed and repaired, and the parallel universe module is unlocked. Lin Fan took a closer look, and the interface became smoother. He felt relieved and patted Lu Zhe on the shoulder. Okay, you win. Go straight to the petting zoo mansion, the villa where the long-term resident lives, and a lot of big cases. Bai Ning's voice popped up, I'll make coffee for you, don't let Su Wan have it all. Lin Fan replied with a thumb, and the four of them piled into Su Wan's patrol car, the engine roared, and they rushed towards the suburbs. The pop-up window on the mobile phone was still flashing, upgrade successful, lucky +1. Gardeners and newspaper reporters heard the news, and some people raised their mobile phones to record it. Lin Fan blushed to his neck, squatted down, picked up the phone, and pushed it back. The symbol is not a quantum, it is scratched with a carving knife. The director left the mark himself to cover up the shipment. Su Wan squatted next to him and held down his wrist. Don't worry, tens of millions of people are watching the live broadcast. Your 4 consecutive defeats are not luck, but reverse logic. I am holding on to the boss's clues and supporting you. Her words made him regain his confidence. He looked up, met her firm eyes, nodded and stood up. Bai Ning pulled the gardener away and asked him where he was last night. He opened the warehouse door and said he was restocking, but he disappeared in the middle of the night. The key fragments are his, and it is customary to carve symbols to sell them on the black market. Lu Zhe picked up the fragments, moved closer to his phone to scan, and the system popped up again, entanglement confirmed, parallel thieves fled. Lin Fan was very angry, pointing at the symbols on the wall. The gardener transported the dog to sell the leader. This is the transaction code. The gardener recognized the traces. That's the mark of the black market, double-line gang, Lao Wang mentioned it. The clue was accidentally exposed, and the investigation was promoted in the chaos. The newspaper reporter came up to me, his flashbulb flashing around. Su Wan blocked the crowd and pulled Lin Fan deep into the warehouse. The symbol locks the two-line gang. I'll track down the location of the director's cell phone. You broke down publicly, and it's worth it in exchange for this clue. I trust your intuition and don't rely on this ghost system. Bai Ning came over and handed over the fragment of the director's key. Double-line gang. Lao Wang didn't mention this level. I'll check his address book. Lu Zhe stood aside awkwardly, and the 3 of them gathered around. Su Wan patted Lin Fan on the back. Partner, let's cover it all. The support was like a net covering him, and the pressure turned into motivation. The gardener suddenly pointed to the corner of the warehouse. The hidden door over there, the director often enters. Lin Fan pushed open the camouflage wall, which was filled with empty cages and black market receipts, pointing directly at the address of the double-line gang. The 5th case was a mistake, and the principal was pushed back to lock up the ghost line. Bai Ning touched his arm lightly. My intuition has resisted, don't throw me away. Su Wan nodded. Chasing the boss together. Lu Zhe typed on his phone beside him, his fingers trembling slightly as he closed the interface. A smile appeared on his lips, and an imperceptible hesitation flashed through his eyes. Behind the system, there is something strange. Lin Fan held the black market receipt and glanced at the last line of the address, pointing directly at the old warehouse area in the city center. He handed the paper to Amelia Su. Ba Cheng, the leader of the dual-line gang, is hiding there. The principal's confession will be locked up as soon as it is given. Su Wan nodded, put it into the evidence bag, turned around and gestured to the gardener to sign the record. Bai Ning approached Lin Fan and touched him lightly with her arm. At the end of the 5th case, your intuition came to the rescue. I'll make sweet and sour pork ribs when I go home to celebrate. The fragrance of coffee was still in the air, and everyone's shoulders relaxed slightly, and the tacit understanding deepened during the short breath. Amelia Su took the phone and connected it to the police station system. It's located in the old warehouse area. The director is moving now and is running to the suburbs. She pressed the notification button, and a siren could be heard faintly outside the park. Lin Fan breathed a sigh of relief and patted Lu Zhe on the shoulder. Is the system normal this time? It's finally not tricking anyone. Lu Zhe's fingers froze, his eyes averted, and the smile on his lips deepened. He lowered his head and poked at his phone, and the interface switched back to green light. Brother, this is the normal mode. The points for complaining are cleared and you have to start over. Lin Fan's heart sank, his intuition felt like needles pricking his eyes, and he stared at Lu Zhe's slightly trembling fingers. The relationship is changing. Wait a minute. Lin Fan grabbed Lu Zhe's collar and pulled him closer to his face. You've been looking weird since you smashed the phone. System repair, parallel modules, and luck +1 are all your fault. Tell me, what's the origin of this app? Lu Zhe took half a step back and bumped into an empty cage. The glass shattered with a sound. He scratched his head in embarrassment and his voice weakened. Brother Fan, don't get excited, actually, this is my beta version of the app. It's a prank, designed to trick your addiction to reasoning. The saber-toothed tiger and the quantum paw prince are all bug scripts written by me, forcing you to work backwards to solve the case. I originally wanted to be an invisible mentor, but I turned into a clown. Everyone paused, Bai Ning and Su Wan turned their heads, and the gardener stopped writing from a distance. Lin Fan let go of his hand, his face turned from red to white, and he hit the iron cabinet with his fist, making a muffled sound. Prank. The 5 hot searches and the live broadcast crashing the phone were all caused by you in the beta version. Lao Wang surrendered and the principal was a charlatan. I was addicted to complaining about it. It's better for you to hide behind and laugh. The permanent collapse of the system and the parallel universe made me feel inferior to smashing the phone. Netizens looked at it like a clown. Is this the virtue of a technical geek like you? He walked angrily and kicked away a ball of dog hair on the ground. Lu Zhe lowered his head and added a self-deprecating sentence. Yeah, I thought adding a bit of science fiction could train your intuition, but I didn't expect you to become addicted. Now delete the file and the test is over. After the secret was revealed, Lin Fan's chest became blocked, and his anger turned to self-blame. The team relationship was put to the test. Bai Ning stepped forward, held Lin Fan's wrist, and pulled him to sit on the edge of the empty cage. Lu Zhe's trap is a trap, but you relied on your real skills to solve the case. The system has been deleted, but your intuition is still there, so don't blame yourself. She took out a water bottle from her bag and handed it over, her eyes gentle and comforting. Su Wan squatted next to her and held down Lin Fan's knees. I have long suspected that this app is too outrageous. Partner, your reverse logic has locked up the evidence, and the leader's address has been obtained. Lu Zhe, go away and reflect, and don't cause any more trouble. Her hands were steady, and her professional tone was ambiguous. The 3 of them gathered around to form an iron triangle, and their frustration gradually dissipated like fog, turning into unity and enthusiasm. Lin Fan took a deep breath and rubbed his temples. Delete it, and fight alone from now on. The leader of the 2-pronged gang, rely on intuition to chase him. He stood up and checked the director's cell phone. The position suddenly stopped. Amelia Su frowned and refreshed the screen. It's broken, the signal is cut off. Just now the normal mode prompted thermal imaging, but we didn't chase it. Now the director's position has been lost. Lin Fan's heart tightened, recalling the brief normal prompt. Damn, I intuitively ignored the thermal imaging. I should have locked the footprints earlier. The serial case worsened, and the leader's alertness shifted. Bai Ning opened the director's address book. The last call was from the dual-line gang number. The line was disconnected just now, and the record shows that the leader's codename is Shadow. The clues escalated and the pressure increased sharply. Lu Zhe suddenly squatted down, picked up a piece of broken glass on the ground, and brought it to his phone to scan. The system interface lit up, and a prompt popped up, normal mode activated, detecting the remaining footprints of the principal. It is recommended to track thermal imaging. Lin Fan glanced at it and frowned slightly. No mention of parallel universes this time. He thought to himself that intuition would give priority to positioning. Thermal imaging sounded too sci-fi, so he ignored it for now. Turning around and pushing open the iron cabinet behind the hidden door, he took out an old mobile phone from the crack in the wall. The screen was broken and the location signal was still flashing. Lu Zhe came up and wanted to interrupt to repair, but Su Wan glared at him. Shut up. Lin Fan pushed open the warehouse door, and reporters outside gathered around him even tighter. A pop-up window popped up on his mobile phone's trending search, #LuckyDetectiveSmashSystem#, and the mole's prank became a top trend. Suddenly the gardener came running and pointed into the distance. The director's car just left, heading for the old warehouse. Lin Fan clenched his fists. Abandon the system and solve major cases alone. Let's go. The engine roared again and the team rushed out. The outline of the mastermind of the serial theft emerged and the shadow lengthened. Sirens sounded outside the petting zoo, and reporters crowded around the iron gate, their cell phone lenses shaking. Lin Fan got into the passenger seat of Su Wan's police car, while Bai Ning and Lu Zhe squeezed into the back and hitched a ride. As soon as the car door closed, the engine roared and dust flew across the window glass. He stared at the trending search on his mobile phone. #LuckyDetectiveSmashSystem has exceeded 1 million, and the comment area is filled with clips of smashing phones. When the director runs away, everything is lost. Without a system, what's left of my brain? Lin Fan murmured, his knees were pinched with white marks, and the helpless emptiness was like sour water in his stomach. The iron gate at the entrance to the old warehouse area is ajar, with fresh tire tracks leading straight inside. The team got out of the car, Su Wan was in front with her gun drawn, Lin Fan followed closely, Bai Ning used the flashlight in her bag to illuminate, and Lu Zhe was behind. When I pushed open the warehouse door, it was empty except for the taillights of the director's car, which disappeared into the night. Black market documents were scattered on the ground. The latest one points to the jewelry counter at Jinhui Mall in the city center. A $500,000 diamond necklace disappeared last night. Lin Fan picked up the receipt and rubbed his temples. The 7th case, serial thefts were linked to the shopping mall. The director of the store supplied the goods, then a shadow placed the order, and the ghost line was cut off. His mind was blank, no pop-up window buzzed, his legs went weak, and he thought to himself, I am a loser, without a system, I can't even make inferences. Bai Ning came closer, tapped his shoulder, and pulled out a stack of photocopied receipts from his bag. Step by step, your eyes can always catch the details. Go to the mall first, the evidence will not escape. Her prompts were like anchors, calming his shaky confidence and bringing them closer. Lin Fan took a deep breath and nodded to follow. Lu Zhe wanted to move forward to scan, but Su Wan raised her hand to block it. That's enough, don't mess with your beta version anymore. Lu Zhe stopped and whispered awkwardly, Brother Fan, I really didn't mean to do it. I thought I could help you practice your intuition, but I collapsed first. Lin Fan didn't look back, his voice was deep, practice. The principal ran away, and the leader of the big case is alert, all thanks to you. Go reflect on your bug first. Lu Zhe bit his lip and stepped back, the team tension tightened, and his position was vaguely marginalized. The lights in the security room of the shopping mall were dim, and the manager wiped his sweat and handed over the surveillance USB disk. The necklace flew from the back drawer of the counter. There are no prying marks. It was dry inside. Su Wan inserted the laptop, and the screen was frozen during the patrol, and a shadow flashed across the blind corner. Lin Fan came closer and stared at the security log, his head turning forcibly. There is no system, all depends on oneself. The 3 o'clock patrol is 5 minutes short, facing the blind spot. He laughed at himself, making the manager's lips curl up slightly. The patrol record is written like a primary school student's homework. Brother, you were absent at 3 o'clock to smoke. Smoking is banned in the mall, so I'm afraid the smoke you smoke is not worth $500,000. Everyone chuckled, but he struggled in his heart. Is this intuition reliable? Or is it luck? The manager frowned and called the security guard Xiao Li. His face was slightly stiff and his hands were in his pockets. My patrol was normal, I just went to the toilet for 2 minutes. Lin Fan looked directly at him and continued to push, toilet. The log said smoking, and the route bypassed the camera and went straight to the black market junction at the back door. Did you take the order introduced by the principal? Xiao Li's eyes dodged and hesitantly said, "The principal said it was a sure profit. I thought the surveillance was blind and no one checked." His legs went weak. He took out a diamond necklace from his pocket and smashed it on the ground. Su Wan stepped forward to handcuff the person, raised the corners of her mouth slightly, hit her crookedly, and locked her up for the 7th case. Lin Fan was relieved and surprised, and patted Bai Ning's arm. "Without the app, I'm still okay. Complaining about myself is a unique skill." Bai Ning smiled and shook hands. Getting closer, Lu Zhe was far relieved, and the relationship eased slightly. Su Wan held the steering wheel firmly and bypassed the roadblock. "The positioning is broken, but the black market document on the director's mobile phone is locked at number 3 of the old warehouse. Block him first, and I have backed up the leader's Shadow's communication." She spoke calmly, looking sideways at him. Her eyes paused for a moment, as if to encourage. Lin Fan nodded, but his heart hurt. Had he heard the last thermal imaging prompt, the director's footprints would have been locked. Lu Zhe's prank not only deceived the system, but also made me start to doubt my own intuition. He glanced at the rearview mirror. Lu Zhe lowered his head and poked at his phone without raising his eyes. The two of them had a crack in their tacit understanding. Reporters once again surrounded the mall door, flashing lights flashing around. Lin Fan squeezed out of the crowd and got into the car. When he got into the car, the top trending search topic was #Detective Iron Triangle Internal Strife hashtag, and screenshots of Lu Zhe's beta version were leaked. The director's new location card was found in Xiao Li's car. The signal pointed to an unknown suburb, and that shadow communication disconnection intensified. Lin Fan clenched the document tightly, with pressure like a pincer. Intuition wins the small case, and the leader of the big case takes the lead. "We are late, and all the principals escaped." Su Wan started the car, and her eyes in the rearview mirror were layered, and the team's tacit understanding was suspicious. Being helpless, he sensed that he was on the verge of failure for the first time. Will Su Wan's concealment of the case derail everything? The police car was speeding through the night, and the signal light of the suburban location card flickered on the dashboard, like the struggle before the electrocardiogram was flattened. Lin Fan held the photocopied address book on Xiao Li's phone and stared at the back of Su Wan's head. "The last page, you closed it too quickly. Is the new number a backup for Shadow? Or is it your secret line?" Su Wan glanced at him from the rearview mirror and spoke calmly. "Filing the evidence, focus on the suburbs first. The principal's car prints are fresh, don't be distracted." She speeded up and rounded the corner. Bai Ning gently held Lin Fan's hand in the back seat and said with her eyes, "Wait a minute." Lu Zhe huddled in the corner, poking at his phone, trying to ignore the screenshots of internal strife pushed by trending searches. Team tension builds quietly like tires over gravel. The phone suddenly vibrated, and Su Wan picked up the Bluetooth headset. "Police station. Case number 8. The Minghua Middle School laboratory was stolen. The computer host and reagent kit were missing last night, worth 100,000. The surveillance was broken, and the principal suspected a mole." She frowned and hung up, tapping her fingers twice on the steering wheel before turning to Lin Fan. "Serial thefts are happening again. The school is 5 kilometers away from the suburbs. Should we block the principal first, or should we detour around the school?" Lin Fan rubbed his temples, feeling pressure rising. "The leader of the major case is alert. We were a step too late and the entire chain was broken. There is a ghost in the school, and the principal's supply line is still divided." He pushed Bai Ning's hand away, his tone was sharp, and the rift in the relationship widened. The car stopped at the school gate, the iron gate was half open, and the security booth was empty. The team got out of the car and Amelia Su led the way into the laboratory. Fragments of test tubes were scattered on the ground and the drawer was half open. Lin Fan scanned the scene, but his mind was blank, but he forced himself to piece it together. No prying marks, little dust on the keyboard, it was done by an acquaintance. He knelt down and picked up a crumpled piece of paper with "Black Market Delivery, Warehouse 3 tomorrow night," scrawled on it. Bai Ning came closer and whispered, "The handwriting of the director?" "But the handwriting is tender, like a student's handwriting, and even the highlighter marks have not been wiped off." Lin Fan nodded, thinking about the handwriting and the fluorescence of the reagents to connect the chemical club, and his confidence was slightly stable. This intuitive inference is not supported by the system for the first time. Lu Zhe suddenly interrupted excitedly. "Brother Fan, I repair the system remnants. The fragments of the phone are still there, so I can atone and restart the bug module to help with reasoning." His fingers flew and connected to Lin Fan's old phone, and a familiar pop-up window lit up on the screen. "Detective tip, the stolen host was borrowed by aliens to tell fortunes, and the reagent is the prehistoric saber-toothed tiger antidote." Lin Fan's face twitched and he kicked Lu Zhe's calf. "Show your sister. How dare you touch the prank beta version? The principal ran away, all because of your bug. Now I feel suspicious in my gut." Lu Zhe rubbed his legs and scratched his head in embarrassment. "Brother, I thought the parallel module could remedy the situation. Look, luck is +1, and the pop-up window at least gives you a line of action." Bai Ning pulled Lin Fan's sleeve, her voice soft but firm. "That's enough, Lin Fan. The system is broken. You solved the 7th case by yourself. Why do you still rely on this piece of shit? Every time something goes wrong, blame it on it. Do you think you have no brains?" Lin Fan threw away his hand and raised his voice. "No brain. Without it, I would have been dead. What do you know? Common sense advice sounds simple. If the leader of the big case takes the lead, we will all lose." The air solidified. Su Wan checked the door lock, pretending not to hear. Lu Zhe lowered his head and retreated to the corner. The failure of atonement deepened the edge. Bai Ning's eyes were slightly red and she turned her back. "I understand, I'm always the fool who hands out the receipts. Okay, you can complain if you want, and don't hold us back if you lose." She walked out of the laboratory, her steps heavy. Lin Fan froze on the spot, frustration welling up, and the unsystematic emptiness forced him to face it. Dependence was dead, and he felt like he was alone. He muttered to himself. A good-for-nothing detective, even his girlfriend is having a falling out. At this low point, the relationship dropped to a freezing point. Lu Zhe came closer and whispered, "Brother Fan, don't worry. I'll delete the pop-up window, sweep the footprints. Wait, this mud has fluorescent powder, just for the school chemistry club." He shined the light of his mobile phone, and 3 series of footprints appeared in the corner, and small shoe prints connected in series to the back door. Lin Fan glanced at it and couldn't help but complain. "Fluorescent footprints? Please, the director's footprints you scanned last time caused people to escape. Don't scan out alien DNA again this time." Lu Zhe smiled awkwardly. "Brother, this time is really accurate. Small shoe size, no doubt a student." Lin Fan shook his head and followed, complaining about a twist of clues. The fluorescence connected to the handwriting on the note, and he intuitively locked onto the chemical club. This interaction slightly eased Lu Zhe's edge, adding chaos and unexpected help. Su Wan collected the evidence, opened the address book on Xiao Li's mobile phone, glanced at it and quickly closed the screen, her fingers trembling slightly. Confession to the director of the garden, confirmed by Shadow. The old warehouse is empty, go back to the police station for summary. Lin Fan caught the strange moment and his heart sank. What did she hide? There seems to be a new number on the last page. Bai Ning came closer and whispered. She just looked at the USB flash drive for 10 seconds, and her eyes were wrong. Lin Fan nodded, and his unsystematic judgment was more cautious. Su Wan's ambiguity, is there a needle behind her back? Amelia Su waved back. The footprints lead to the playground, and the chemical club warehouse door was ajar. Everyone rushed over and opened the door. 3 high school students were so frightened that they jumped out from behind the shelves, and the main computer and reagent box fell to the ground. The leading boy among them turned pale, and the principal's business card fell out of his pocket. The principal said we could make pocket money by selling used equipment, and we thought it was safe. Black market order warehouse 3, hand in the shadow tomorrow night. Lin Fan was relieved, and accidentally locked the student gang. The 8th case was accidentally hit, a bug entered and reversed the fluorescent clues, and his intuition followed up to close the net. Su Wan handcuffed the person and raised the corner of her mouth slightly. The principal pulled the students into the water, suburban warehouse 3 confirmed. There is movement in the shadow communication backup. Confessions from the students poured out. The principal contacted him last night and promised a share of the black market, and warehouse 3 is a warehouse of shadows. Lin Fan winked at Bai Ning and laughed at himself. Look, there is no system. Complaints plus fluorescence equals student party. Lucky detective, upgraded version. Lu Zisong said, and the relationship warmed up. Brother, next time I will only sweep the floor and not touch the code. The hot search topic #school student market # went viral. Reporters followed the police car, and the pressure turned into momentum. Su Wan started the engine and glanced at the rearview mirror to dodge. Suddenly her phone vibrated, she answered it in a low voice, hung up with slightly trembling fingers, and then spoke. Suburban factory, block the boss. But the new account. I have inside information, don't ask yet. Lin Fan caught the strange feeling and his heart tightened. The secret was on the verge of being exposed, the main thread of the major case was converging, and a counterattack was imminent. Lin Fan chased out to find Bai Ning. She leaned against the car door and took a deep breath, and he lightly touched her shoulder. I'm sorry. The system tricked me. You pulled me back to the shore, but I pushed you into the water. From the day I smashed the plane, I was afraid that my true colors would be exposed. Bai Ning turned around and held his hand. What are you afraid of? Your self-deprecation is much more interesting than bugs. Let's take it one step at a time and don't let pressure win. The warmth of mutual understanding surged up. The two of them touched their foreheads lightly and got closer. The cracks in the team were beginning to heal, but slight traces were left. Su Wan glanced at the rearview mirror, her eyes no longer evasive. Okay, let me tell you. The insider is an old detective from the police station who specializes in investigating the black market smuggling chain. The communication backup he gave shows that Shadow is not the director of the park, but a pseudonym. The backup shows that Shadow contacted the ghost in the hospital last night and stole medical equipment. Warehouse 3 will collect the entire chain tomorrow night. She paused and spoke in a low voice. I hid it because I was afraid that you would be impulsive and do bad things. It is very risky for an old agent to go undercover, and I don't want to drag innocent people into the trap. Lin Fan, your intuition is accurate, but under the pressure of hot searches, what if it is leaked? This confession ended with the trembling clues in the previous text, turning doubt into the starting point of trust. Lin Fan's heart relaxed, and the ambiguous tension turned into sincerity. Lin Fan rubbed his eyebrows and smiled to himself. An undercover mole. It's even more outrageous than an alien in the system. But you betrayed him by shaking your hands. If you had said no earlier, it would have been over. Okay, I believe it. After dumping the system, I feel at least I will not cheat my teammates. Bai Ning reached out and patted his knee, and the relationship was warm and lasting. She's professional, let's fill her position. Warehouse 3 is blocked, hospital first. Su Wan nodded, turning and speeding up. The backup is located at the back door of the hospital, and the equipment truck has just left. I will send support from the director, and we will go straight to the source. The tacit understanding of cooperation has been upgraded, and the team's iron triangle has been reorganized from the remnants of internal strife. The phone suddenly rang, and Su Wan's Bluetooth was connected. Police station. Case 9, the city hospital's drug store was stolen. Anti-cancer drugs and a pacemaker were missing, worth $500,000. Surveillance showed that internal employees pushed carts out of the back door, and there were no prying marks. She hung up, her tone hurried. The ninth link of the chain, that a shadow backup is consistent. The drug warehouse is 30 kilometers away from the warehouse, intercept the equipment truck first. Lin Fan flashed the school's fluorescent footprint pattern in his mind, and the incident promoted a new case, forcing him to fight alone. The equipment truck was recommended by an acquaintance, and the ghost in the hospital looked like a replica of the student party. Chasing the car, locking tire marks. This choice locked the line of action, and abandoned system dependence and officially started. The car lights swept across the suburban street signs, and Su Wan turned the steering wheel and turned into the side alley of the hospital. The back door was ajar, tire tracks were wet on the ground, fresh mud was mixed with fragments of medicine bottles. Lin Fan jumped out of the car, squatted on the ground and felt for traces, thinking that the road was slippery and the cart was out of control. The tires are wide, it's a hospital logistics truck. The fragments are anti-cancer drug capsules, and the ghost spilled them in a panic. Lu Zhe approached and scanned with the light of his mobile phone. Brother, the traces lead to the gap in the wall. There is a cloth strip in the gap, blue uniform. Bai Ning picked up the cloth strip and leaned closer to smell it. The smell of disinfectant water is for pharmacists only. It's not a security guard, it's the pharmacist on duty. The clues connected the ghosts in the hospital, and the team complemented each other and made progress. Lin Fan intuitively expected to win for the first time. When I opened the medicine warehouse door, the lights were dim, most of the shelves were empty, and prescription slips were scattered on the floor. Lin Fan glanced around and noticed a puddle of water next to the safe. The water stains are not dry yet, the pharmacist has just left. There is a shadow note on the list, pacemaker priority bin 3. He turned to Su Wan. The internal backup line is matched. The pharmacist is the principal's student line extension, causing trouble in the hospital. Su Wan nodded and transferred the police station data. Pharmacist Zhang Wei resigned half a month ago. He is an old acquaintance of the principal. Catch him. This reasoning has no systematic support and relies entirely on the fluorescence of previous cases and the tire model to infer the truth. The truth is gathered and inner liberation surges, a loser becomes a detective. It turns out that intuition has never left. Following the tire tracks to the fence, Zhang Wei was panting and stuffing the box into the truck. When he saw the light, he was so frightened that the box smashed to the ground and the pacemaker rolled out. Su Wan stepped forward to handcuff her, while Lin Fan picked up the utensils and complained. Tomorrow night, all the goods in Warehouse 3 will be transferred. Shadow will collect it personally. Fortunately, there is no system, otherwise it would say that the medicine is for aliens' heart massage. Zhang Wei bowed his head and confessed. The principal introduced that Shadow has a high commission. I was given a backup number, and it's Mr. Wang, the owner of an old factory in the city. Su Wan's eyes lit up and she verified it internally. Mr. Wang, the informant in the police station, mentioned that he is a veteran of the black market. Warehouse 3 is a smoke bomb, and he is really hiding in the city. The identity of the mastermind was approaching, and the joy of reversal broke out, and Lin Fan was full of confidence. Bai Ning hugged Lin Fan's arm and whispered. Look, you broke it yourself. The system? It should have been kicked out long ago. Lu Zhe scratched his head and said excitedly. Brother, I am atonement. In the Warehouse 3 support vehicle, I remotely hacked into Mr. Wang's surveillance system to make up for the last bit. Lin Fan patted him on the shoulder, and the relationship warmed up. Don't mess with the code, this time your intuition is enough. But Lu Zhe's eyes flickered, he secretly took out the fragments of the phone, pressed the reset button, and the screen lit up slightly for a moment. This act of atonement laid hidden dangers. The convoy turned to the old factory in the city. Reporters followed them with flashes of light, and the trending search topic ## went viral. The climax of the major case is imminent, and the omens of bad things are quietly unfolding. The sirens stopped at the gate of the old factory in the city. As soon as the motorcade came to a stop, reporters' flashlights came from outside the iron fence. Su Wan jumped out of the car to block the intersection. Bai Ning held Lin Fan's sleeve and whispered, "The hot search hasn't ended yet, don't let them squeeze in." Lin Fan nodded and glanced at the black shadow inside the iron gate. The tire tracks on the ground led directly to the side door of the factory, which was as wide as the hospital. He knelt down and felt the dirt, his fingertips stained with fresh tire rubber. Zhang Wei's logistics truck model, there is the sound of unloading goods inside. Su Wan motioned Lu Zhe to try the door lock, Bai Ning distributed flashlights, and the three of them worked together to block the two exits. Lu Zhe's fingers were flying on his mobile phone. The door lock clicked open, but the alarm was triggered and all the lights in the factory turned on. Several boxes of medical equipment were scattered on the empty shelves, and Mr. Wang's communication records were still flashing on the computer in the corner. Lin Fan read the last item closely. The cultural relics will be picked up from the museum tomorrow morning and transferred to Warehouse 3. Su Wan checked the internal backup and frowned. The 10th ring is activated. Mr. Wang uses the student party to relay the antiques. He will not show up. This old factory is just a transfer station, and we are half a step late. Bai Ning squeezed Lin Fan's hand and silently conveyed support. Lin Fan's heart sank. He intuitively identified the museum as the key tonight, and the team turned to a new goal. The convoy returned to the museum, the clock struck midnight, and the guard booth at the side entrance was empty. Su Wanliang's certificate led the exhibition hall. The glass cabinet was obviously broken and the replica of the Qin dynasty jade seal was missing. Lin Fan touched the dust on the side of the cabinet, and fluorescent powder lit up on his fingertips. The principal's student party method continues from the school. The powder path leads to the underground passage. Bai Ning picked up a copper coin on the ground and looked closely at the edge where. This is a genuine product. Mr. Wang only picks valuable ones. Lu Zhe scanned the entrance of the passage, and the thermal imaging of his mobile phone showed three figures carrying the box and moving out. Lin Fan was exploring the way in front, Su Wan was behind, and Bai Ning was in the middle to provide support. The three of them blocked the retreat, and their footsteps echoed in the damp passage. At the corner, three masked men pushed the wooden box of jade and ran away when they saw the light. One person stumbled, the lid of the box popped open and the jade seal rolled out. Lin Fan pounced on him and pulled off his mask. It was the principal and student team leader. Warehouse 3, Mr. Wang. Medical equipment and cultural relics, the whole chain is worth tens of millions. The team leader gasped and struggled. Mr. Wang promised a share, and the ghost in the museum opened the back door. Su Wan handcuffed the other one, and the man lowered his head in embarrassment. I said I quit earlier, this job is too awkward. The third one taunted, you three are chasing after you like filming a drama, the mole is a guard, Uncle Li on duty. Bai Ning sealed the box to take pictures, surrounded and locked the 10th case, the identity of the mole was revealed, and Lin Fan intuitively hit again. As soon as Lin Fan stood up, his cell phone buzzed wildly. The system app that Lu Zhe restarted finally crashed, and a giant pop-up window popped up, Parallel Universe Detective Mode. Cultural relics are not smuggled, but recovered from prehistoric aliens. Summon the Quantum Paw Print Hound. A loud voice echoed in the passage. The masked people were stunned, and the team leader curled his lips in embarrassment. Aliens? Is this phone poisonous? Another person couldn't help but laugh. Man, you have to be a professional in cosplay. Lin Fan's face was hot, and he threw the phone against the wall, but it bounced back to Lu Zhe's feet. The system continued to crash, the bug will be repaired forever, and the brand IP will be transferred. Honkai Detective Daily. Plus 10,000 fans. Pop-ups rained down, and Lu Zhe scratched his head to pick them up. Reporters captured sporadic sounds in the peripheral live broadcast, and the hot search hashtag alien artifact thief hashtag quietly popped up. Lu Zhe laughed awkwardly. Brother, I made a mistake in code atonement, but this live broadcast, the system crashed and the peripherals can be sold. Su Wan suppressed laughter and professionally complained, it's even more outrageous than the prisoner's confession. First handcuff him tightly, Mr. Wang's conspirator has not been caught yet. Bai Ning pulled Lin Fan up, leaned close and whispered harshly, intuition wins the system, alien claw marks sound like what you were talking about in your sleep last night. Lin Fan rubbed his nose and laughed at himself. He smashed the machine to solve the case. This luck must continue until the end. The team breathed a sigh of relief from the collapse crisis, laughed to resolve the embarrassment, and the Yong collapse system underwent a gorgeous transformation, heralding the birth of a brand. The police car was speeding on the road late at night, and the hum of the engine could not cover the silence inside the car. Lin Fan stared at the back of Su Wan's head. The hot search on his mobile phone was still reading hashtag triangle internal strife. He took a deep breath to break the deadlock. What kind of insider number is this? The principal's confession has just come out, and your fingers were shaking like that when you answered it. Why are you hiding it from us? This big case will be lost in one step, and you treat us as an outsider. Bai Ning turned her head from the passenger seat with complicated eyes. Lu Zhe shrank in the back seat and said nothing. This question poked holes in the relationship, and Su Wan tightened her grip on the steering wheel. The sky was slightly bright, the team returned to the old factory, and Mr. Wang's truck was driving out of the iron gate. Lin Fan jumped on the roof of the police car and pointed to the license plate on the rear of the car. Mr. Wang is driving the car, the communication is consistent, chase. The engine roared, Su Wan accelerated and forced the truck to stop. Mr. Wang got out of the car and raised his hands, his face ashen. How do you know? Lin Fan jumped down and looked directly at him. Intuition. Director Student Hospital Museum, you have connected the whole chain, the alien system has collapsed, you can't hide it. Mr. Wang sneered and threw out the USB flash drive. The evidence is inside, the police station has been watching. But Hot Search Star, can you break the last link? Holding the USB flash drive in his hand, Lin Fan's heart tightened. Intuition, is it really enough? Museum guard Uncle Lee was found out, and his confession directly pointed to Mr. Wang personally picking up all the goods tomorrow morning. Su Wan received the evidence and said in a calm tone, the old factory transfer is closed, the support of the director of Warehouse 3 is in place, and Mr. Wang's network is tightening. Lin Fan stared at his cell phone, his heart fluctuating. After the release of Intuition, his confidence has stabilized, but the trending barrage is Honkai Detective God Operation, and the pressure is faint. Bai Ning leaned closer and whispered, you solved 10 cases independently, you are qualified. This warmth must have pushed him forward, and the incident was approaching the core of the major case. Lu Zhe's fingers were tapping on the screen, and blue light shone on his face. 3 layers of encryption, done in 5 minutes. The system crashed, this time it was all done by hand. The phone buzzed, and documents popped up, medical equipment shipment list, principal's student party transfer record, hospital Zhang Wei's mole remittance, museum jade seal authenticity appraisal, the entire chain of flow points directly to Mr. Wang's account. Lin Fan came closer and connected the clues in his mind. The tire rubber is fresh all the way from the hospital to the old factory. The fluorescent powder path leads to the underground passage. The student squad leader personally told you to transfer to Warehouse 3. Mr. Wang, what are you trying to do as a rich businessman to steal? A 2-pronged approach to medical cultural relics, enough to buy 10 cars. It's a new truck. He paused and added, the director of the school, Su, lowered the price of the scholarship, and the evil Uncle Lee opened the back door and even lent you Zhang Wei's logistics. Intuition tells me that you can't hide it. The reasoning came up step by step, and Mr. Wang lowered his head and stared at the ground. Su Wan stepped forward and cuffed Mr. Wang's hands. Mr. Wang, there are 10 cases in total, from pet theft to cultural relic smuggling, your logistics vehicle traces are present at every scene. The confession of Uncle Lee in the museum is correct. Hand over the USB flash drive. Mr. Wong glanced at Lin Fan, twitched the corner of his mouth, and handed over the spare key. Boy, you have great intuition. But the USB drive is encrypted and the police station can't get through it after watching it for half a year. What if your hot search becomes popular and the evidence is false? Lin Fan took the USB drive, his fingertips trembling slightly, and stuffed it into Lu Zhe's phone. Unlock it. The evidence is inside, and we win. Mr. Wong's voice was dull. I'm trying to make quick money. With urban development, the old factory land has tripled. I've enlisted the help of the student gang to keep the price down, and we've done both for medical and cultural relics. He raised his eyes and saw Lin Fan's gaze change from provocation to resignation. The principal granted them a scholarship, but you, a good-for-nothing, have a dog's nose. Su Wan nodded and mended the handcuffs. The internal backup is consistent. Your communication disconnection means self-destruction. The USB flash drive is the last link. Lin Fan unclenched his fist, and the pressure in his heart turned into joy. The whole case was closed and the mastermind was arrested. Reporters' flashlights flashed wildly through the iron fence, hot searches were on the rise, and fans' messages flooded the screen with #DetectiveCatchingRichBusinessman #. Lu Zhe turned his head in embarrassment and raised his phone to take a look. Alien paw print fans have exceeded 100,000, and the surrounding t-shirts are sold out, brother. Su Wan coughed professionally. Seal the evidence first and wait for the police to release the hot search. The team breathed a sigh of relief. Bai Ning approached Lin Fan, held his wrist and squeezed it gently, with gentle eyes. You were independent in 10 cases. The system tricked you for half a year. I told you that intuition wins everything. The ambiguity drew closer, and her fingers made circles on his palm. Lin Fan turned to look at her, the dawn light haloed the tips of her hair. Ning Ning, it's embarrassing for a hotly searched celebrity. You still pull up your sleeves to block reporters. How about you instead of me? Bai Ning leaned close to whisper, her voice was thorny but warm. If it were you, I would have run away early. Lin Fan, I like your taste. You are a loser turned detective, and your complaints are more accurate than the system. She leaned forward and kissed his cheek gently. Su Wan looked away and pretended to check the evidence. Lu Zhe lowered his head and tapped on his phone. Lin Fan felt relieved. From low self-esteem to self-confidence, Bai Ning helped him get out of the trap 3 times. Emotion sublime, pushing him to face the end. The trunk of the truck was pried open, the medical box was filled with cultural relics, and the principal's support team arrived to seal it. Su Wan's walkie-talkie reported victory. The whole team is locked up, and the mastermind Wang is arrested. Lin Fan touched the USB flash drive and gained a lot, his intuition proved himself, the system cheated him into a brand, and the iron triangle of friendship and Su Wan had a solid tacit understanding. Lu Zhe patted him on the shoulder. Brother, I will draw you as the protagonist in Honkai Detective's daily comic. Lin Fan nodded and realized his growth, mistakes and luck were exchanged for real skills. Mr. Wang was put into a police car and suddenly sneered and turned his head. The USB flash drive is genuine, and the internet is also accepted. But there is spare stock in Warehouse 3, and the branch boss is not blocked. The police station believes in your hot search, and all of them are gone. Lin Fan's heart tightened for a moment, and his intuition flashed again, the batch of thermal imaging disconnections in Warehouse 3 in the suburbs. Bai Ning held his hand tightly, her eyes firm. Let's chase. The motorcade's engine started again, and the dawn chase came to an end. The convoy rushed into the suburbs with dust, and the grey fog at dawn shrouded the iron gate of Tsang 3. Lin Fan looked out from the passenger side, and the thermal imaging app screen flashed, 3 heat sources were moving the cargo box inside. Su Wan stepped on the brakes and whispered on the intercom, "The principal's motorcade is following and the back road is blocked. My team and I will go around the side door." She glanced at Lin Fan, "Where is your intuition? Where is the leader hiding?" Lin Fan squinted at the tire tracks in the fog, fresh rubber marks leading down the slope. "The spare goods are in the darkroom at the bottom of the slope. The head of the branch that Mr. Wang brought with the USB flash drive is the principal's deputy, Lao Chen. The student gang confessed that he worked late at night and put the soles of his fluorescent pink shoes on the hospital batch." Bai Ning pinched his shoulder from the back seat, "Don't be brave, the fog is thick and impulsive." Lin Fan nodded, got out of the car and touched the wire. As he picked the lock, Mr. Wang's sneer flashed in his mind, "One step too late and everyone ran away." The iron door creaked open, cargo boxes were piled into a wall, and wooden boxes of cultural relics were scattered next to medical equipment. Lao Chen's short and fat figure sprang out of the darkroom, flashing the USB flash drive in his hand, and was stuffing it into the escape ladder. Lin Fan rushed over and tripped him. "Uncle Chen, the principal is trying to get the students to lower the price. You transferred your store to Mr. Wang, and warehoused tire rubber all the way. Run away." The police light outside the door came on. Old Chen fell to the ground, and the USB flash drive rolled out. Su Wan rushed to handcuff him. "The principal's support confirmed that you acted alone at night, and you are the last link in the whole chain." Lu Zhe panted and followed up, raising his phone high to scan the heat source. Thermal imaging locks 3 hot spots, behind 2 student gangs hiding boxes. He kicked open the box, and the 2 boys raised their hands. "Brother Chen," said the scholarship, "we are only moving the goods." Lin Fan picked up the USB flash drive and handed it to Lu Zhe. "Unlock it to prove that Mr. Wang is not lying." Lu Zhe typed twice, and the document popped up. Warehouse 3's shipping order pointed to the 5 branches, and the list of ringleaders was all there. The event is locked and the risk of leakage is eliminated. The reporter's live broadcast car followed, and the hot search hashtag 3attack hashtag jumped to the top. Lu Zhe's cell phone buzzed with fans exceeding 200,000. The alien paw print t-shirt is sold out after 2 copies. The comic sample I drew was published. The page where the protagonist complained about the system got 100,000 likes. Lin Fan shook his head and laughed. Brand IP? The cheating system becomes a peripheral, and it is best to never collapse. He turned to face the team and said in a steady voice, "I trust you, app. There are a lot of mistakes in reasoning, and the mistakes are like old friends. Push me to see the truth. Luck is not about falling from the sky, but getting up after stepping on the trap." Su Wan nodded. "Intuition is more accurate than insiders, and the relationship is strengthened." The fog cleared and the principal's motorcade arrived to seal up the items. Su Wan reported to the team, "Warehouse 3 is in reserve to capture Lao Chen, and the USB flash drive is used to complete the branch. The whole chain is complete." Lin Fan leaned on the box to breathe, unclenched his fists, and confidence surged from his chest. Bai Ning came closer, handed him a water bottle and touched his hand. 10 case increase 3, you intuitively pulled us over the line. The system has been cheating for half a year, in exchange for this reward." Her eyes lingered, and the relationship became closer for a moment. Lao Chen was escorted out, lowered his head and confessed, "Mr. Wang promised a share of the land. I recruited students to lower the medical prices, and smuggled cultural relics to repair the holes. The U-disk backup was imported into the police cloud, and the whole case was seamless." Lin Fan touched his pocket, the system app icon turned gray, and the pop-up window finally flashed. "Detective, the bug has been fixed. Aliens coming to pick you up." Collapse, Yongbing's screen freezes, Lu Zhe slaps his leg. This running gag is for the back cover of the comic. The daily routine of the Honkai detective, sold out. The laughter burst out, and the team relaxed their shoulders. Bai Ning pulled Lin Fan's sleeves and avoided the camera to the back of the car. "Hot search star, how do you answer when a reporter asks the system?" Lin Fan leaned close to her ear. you would have believed it if intuition wins everything. She touched his palm with her fingers, leaned forward and kissed the corner of his lips, keeping the warmth for 3 seconds. A loser becomes a celebrity. I pulled you out of the trap 3 times. This time you pull me out. Mr. Detective, will we work together on the next case? The emotional reward is realized, and the ambiguity becomes firm. The dawn sun shines on the roof of the warehouse, and the trucks are covered with seals. Su Wan waved, "See you at the police station, partner." Lu Zhe held up his mobile phone, "Take photos with the surroundings," fans shout for an encore. Lin Fan nodded, growing up steadily, from a waste of the system to a true detective who embraces his mistakes. Gain both fame and reputation, and the serial theft case comes to an end. The convoy returned to the city, and Lin Fan's figure was trending live. Fans used the hashtag #IntuitionDubi hashtag, and the pre-sale of brand IP peripherals exploded. Lin Fan sat back and closed his eyes, while Bai Ning rested his head on his shoulder. The phone vibrated with a new case text message, a series of bites in the petting zoo, suspected alien paw prints. His intuition flashed again, and he whispered, "New pit, come on. A detective's daily life will never break down."